Assalamu alaikum. Sulaiman Rahim here. Welcome. Let's slay some demons. Sisters and brothers. Okay, we're going to have a little presentation here concerning the war, the imminent war. Let me make a little change here. There you go. Okay. Okay, that's more like it. And I'm going to, as I said, as we're closer and closer and closer, I give you more detailed, because you got to be very careful here, because you're not the only one listening. I'm telling you, I'm telling them. And this war is about to take place. It will take place. It will be what ignites Armageddon. So let's proceed. Now, some of you may not have noticed, but chapter 11 of the Angel gives you, that's the timeline. There's a lot to that chapter. What's the timeline? And there's a pattern there. See? The first part is like 42 months, then 24 months, from 1948 to 1990, 42 months. 1991 to 2015, right? Because 1990 was when America, falls Israel, and Britain moved into the Middle East, so-called Gulf War. And they took control of the Middle East for all practical purposes. And then it says that the witness would be cast down but not allowed to be buried. That means they wasn't under earth, right? They was on top, but they was cast down from their original position, and that would be for 24 months. 24 years. But then they said then they would be buried underfoot for 42 months, right? 3.5 years. And then the agreement, they'll be doing the JCPOA, and then the agreement be broken after 42 months. And then for 2 years, they'll be rising. See that pattern there? So we're going to talk about that. But the thing is that the thing about that last one, 24, see, the first 3 are how long they're in a certain position. See, they were in that position, they're witnessing for 42 months, 42 years rather. And then they was in that position, right, for 24 years. And then they were underfoot for 3.5 years or 42 months. See, so they was in that position. But this one, it takes them 24 months, right, to rise to a position. That's why you get this wind, because they're moving. When you're moving, you create a wind, right? And then to complete that move, it takes additional 12 months or 1 day. 1 day is a year, right? So, and there's 12 months. And then we're told 6 months of that would be a law. So if you add these all up from 1948, if you add these up, you arrive at about November 2020. And then if you add 6 months of that, you end up in May 2021, the law. right? That would be the start of the war. And the war would take 12 months because it was 6 months long. The war should have started back in November, but it said it was 6 months long. Silence a half of an hour. An hour is a day. I said day, 1 hour. In this context, it's 1 year. And then it takes 6 months for the whole process to be complete, the whole cycle to be complete. So let's go ahead and see if we can make sense of it. This is the 42 years. Those are the witnesses. They got all kinds of things, you know. You got Farrakhan, I'm telling you. The witnesses is Elijah and Farrakhan. You can't make any sense out of that. You can't make this stuff up, brothers. That fool said anything. He said witnesses are Elijah and Farrakhan. Now, if you put that in there in chapter 11, make sense of that, make it fit in there, right? Have at it. Let me know. I'd be the first to kiss his foot if he can make sense of this, because he has no idea. He's just talking. He's pulling crap out of his behind and calling it honey. And you got a lot of people say, yeah, it tastes like honey to me. It smells like it too. I guess, you know, if he's dumb enough, you hallucinate enough, right? Then you can make anything make sense. So this is when the condition they're in. Because it happens when false Israel come online. 1948, and they're against it for 42 years. They're against it, right? And they're the ones that are being sanctioned for not worshiping the image of the beast slain by the sword. See, because in America, right, that's chapter 13, that would be the one sanctioning them, now allow them to buy or sell because they don't worship false Israel. Well, isn't that Iran and Syria? Constant sanctions, why? Because Israel don't like, false Israel don't like them. And they don't like false Israel. Okay. So they're in position for 42 years. 126 to 1,026 days is 42 months, 42 years. Then that's when it was cast down. Okay? It was cast down, but not allowed to be buried. And so that would be 3 days and a half. So they say 3 days and a half of what? Half of the 42, which is 21. 21 plus 3 is 24. So they'd be there for 24 years. Because the war was complete in 1991. They'd be 2015. They'd be there in 2015. 2015, they'd be in that position, you know. Okay. Then it says that they would be under the foot of the nations for 42 months, which is 3.5 years, which means the foot of the nations, that means the nations represented by the UN. So they'd be under the foot, so they were under, this is during the JCPOA. During this period of time, so that started in 2015. So you can't make this up. Started in 2015, do the math. 1948, right, to 1990, 42 years. 1991, end of the war, to 2015 is 24 years. That's when the JCPOA started. And it says they'll be under foot of the nation, so they're under control of the UN, monitoring everything else. And it said they would be in that 42 months, 3.5 years, which they were. Until 2018, 3.5 years later, starting from March. March is our big starting point because that's the beginning of spring. That's when Mr. Trump canceled the agreement. That's what it says right here. I'm just, you can read chapter 11 for yourself. So then that's it. So they'll be there until 2018, around November 2018. Okay? Then it started moving up. Let's say 2 years ago, it says after the 3 days and a half, 3 days and a half of what? See? That gets back to, right, the 24. So after 2 years, 24 months, after 2 years, right, they're in position. So now they're covering Europe and they're covering, but and it said during this time, they'll spread plagues as often as they will. This is during the time COVID came in. Between 2018, right, mid, until 2020. So 2018 around November till 2029 November. During this period of time, it said the plagues will come in. Read chapter 11. And so there you go right there, right? So now they're moving up. See, this is how long they've been in that position, how long it took them to get that position. So they're moving up. See, because after a period of time, so they give this in the sense of not how long they did, but how long it took them to get to that position. So it says, after 3 days and a half, the Spirit of God came to them, step one, and then they stood upon their feet. So it's 2 moves here. 2 moves. So what's the time frame for the other move? Because this just tells how long they got to this point. Spirit of God. See, that's one of the spirits. Greenish yellow horse, which is really, they call it the pale horse, greenish yellow. That's one of the spirits, right? Then you got the black one. That's one of the spirits. Then you got the 5 red spirits and the white one. They're all the spirits. They're the 7 spirits of the God. There's 4 of them. Okay, so, bam. And so the only time frame you have left in there is that it said in that same hour. Hour is also a year. That same hour, all these things happen, right? But it said there was a lull for 6 months. So that 6 months that passed, and then it would start in May, go all the way from May until the end of this period, which would be November. So by November, they'll be completed. So all these things that would happen, the war, right? The casting down of the NOI, the removal of the demons, right? In the Farrakhan, his demon mess, all this stuff would happen within that 6 month period. And we're in that now. The war did start in May, just like I said. I told you it was going to start in May. Hasn't finished, because you see, they're fighting over there now. Back and forth, they attacking each other and everything else. So it hasn't stopped. It's just going to phase 2. This is what we should expect to happen between. I said we get closer, I'm going to make it clear to you. You have to be careful. I'm telling you, I'm telling them. Because I got some other things I'm going to reveal very, very soon that I never told you about. It might surprise you. Right? So here we go. Remember, during this, the sixth lull period passed. That was between November and May. So now we're in the last 6 months, starting in June, right? So that's when by November, they would have kicked, the war would be over. They would have kicked America out. Falsers will be gone, right? All that would be accomplished within this next 6 months. See, this when Babylon falls, all this would happen, it would be accomplished. See, America and Britain would be at war with China and Korea. There'll also be a war with Russia and the EU, because the EU, it represents NATO, they're going to turn against America. And America's going to have no friends, they have no allies. Only ally America and Britain going to have is themselves. Not have any allies. That's what it's telling you. And all this will be accomplished because it says it takes 6 months then to get into that top position. So this is the wind that's going on. Because all these things will happen when that wind blows. If you read the 6th seal, it says the tree was shaken as a mighty wind, as the figs were shaken, unripe fig, because it happened before they was ready. Because they're planning something. They're also planning your demise. But this is the point they're going to attack us too. See. Then we're going to talk about the four winds, which I'm going to break some news to you about that you didn't know, because most of you don't even have any idea what the 4 winds are all about. Maybe none of you. Okay, that's it, brothers and sisters. That's where we are right now. But right now, the wind's blowing. So the point is, how hard the wind has to blow before the wigs are thrown. Because that's what it means, the figs are thrown as America and Britain. Because false Israel is a fig tree. And America and Britain are the figs. But at this point, false Israel is no longer. And when false Israel goes, the whole world, it'll be a shock and hour. It's going to change the whole political, emotional, religious, economic, military calculation of the whole entire world. It's going to throw all the world into they're going to become comatose for a second. It says maybe walk around drunk and have a drink, because when false Israel goes, that's not supposed to happen. It's like, you wake up one morning and the moon is gone. It's going to be almost as impactful as that. So what happened to the moon? People going, that would shake. I mean, that would shake people up. I would think, and this will shake people up because when Mufasa goes, the whole international politics, this whole reality, false reality they built up, right? This illusion they built up, everything, it's going crashing down, and their whole mindset is going to be crushed, cracked, exploded, because it's based on that lie, that great lie, that they see the whole world. It's based on that big lie. The mindset of the whole world is based on that big lie, and all of a sudden it comes crashing down. All of a sudden, unexpectedly, because none of expected this happen. And I'm telling you, brothers and sisters, you know. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. Okay, we're gonna leave it there. I think that's it. Okay, that's it, brothers and sisters. Hope you understand. Assalamu alaikum.